We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, chapter number 14, beginning from verse number 40. This is a continuation of description of meeting between King Pururava and Urvashi. So we read that Urvashi had left the king and then he became crazy. So this is what happens when you are too much attached to something, then mind goes crazy. So he wandered, he gave up his kingdom, he was not even dressed, not eating properly. And then one day he met her at Kurukshetra. Dharmkshetre Kurukshetre Samvetayutsava. And he was so happy. So Urvashi tries to put some sense into his head that why are you so much mad after me? You should know that women are not what they look, right? And men are also not what they look. Because all this beauty, if you try to analyze, then you will not find it anywhere. Anything which is beautiful, if you try to analyze it minutely, take a microscope and look. If you see the face of a beautiful woman with a microscope, how will it look? It will look like big mountains and, right, big valleys. So he says, don't be so much foolish. Don't waste your human life. So this is actually the story of human being, human mind. It's a very interesting story. So Pururava is the human mind, Urvashi is the body. And mind is attracted to beauty, where it is difficult to ascertain. You should never ask this question, where is the beauty? Because beauty lies only in the eye of the beholder. It's not anywhere else. So whatever is beautiful in the material world, the only beauty of that beauty is the person who is behind it, and that is Krishna. So if the beauty reminds you of Krishna, then that beauty will uplift you. If that beauty does not remind you of Krishna and reminds you of yourself or the object, then you are going away from Krishna and you will be lost in Maya. Because without Krishna there is no beauty. That's why he is the Krishna. He is the source of all beauty. And all beauty emanates from him. So if that beauty does not lead you to him, then it is not beauty. So that is what we should understand. That if beauty is not leading me to Krishna, then I am wasting my life. So if beauty is to be appreciated, because many times this question is asked, that do Vaishnavas take interest in beauty like painting, arts, right? So there were movements in Europe especially, about arts, paintings. So a Vaishnava takes interest only if it is related with Krishna and if you can relate it to Krishna. Either it reminds you of Krishna anyway, or if you are smart enough, advanced enough to remember by seeing it, then it has value, then it can be appreciated. Otherwise not. So this is very important to take into consideration. So that is the meaning when Krishna says dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshama. So kama also refer to beauty, because kama means desire, kama means that which attracts your mind, right? If you have desire for something, means your mind is attracted to that. Your mind becomes fixed on that. So kama also, although we say saundarya, but anywhere, wherever there is talk of kama in the sense of relationship, physical relationship, then it involves beauty. Beauty is the basis of that. So that beauty is, that kama is Krishna, if it is dharma viruddha. And dharma is that we are part of Krishna. That is our basic dharma. Dasa bhuta hare reva nanyastu kadachana. That we are Krishna das. And then only it is beautiful. Otherwise it is not. So this is all the time getting disconnected. Already it got disconnected maybe 4 or 5 times. So here it is interesting that it is Urvashi who is trying to remind this to the king. Generally in the spiritual circles, the men, they are always bashing women that they are the source of trouble, they are the source of bondage. But you see here, who is the source of bondage? Is it Urvashi or Pururava? Urvashi is trying to put some sense into the head of Pururava. And Pururava is not listening. And there are many stories like this. You hear the story of Bilva Mangal Thakur, you hear the story of Tulsi Das. So it is, they were all guided by their lover or wife. Then we have the story of Pingala in 11th canto. So therefore, after speaking this, because what she is saying is actually true, because when people are very much attached to something, if they are materialistic people, then they are not reliable. And if they are reliable, that is only because they also want to gain something from you. Otherwise, not. Otherwise they can change anytime. It's not connected again. So after speaking this, then she consoled him that she will meet him once a year. So this is one way of, if somebody is too much attached, then you have to follow Parisankhya Vidhi. See the Parisankhya Vidhi. That if somebody is too much addicted to something, then you cannot wean him away immediately like that. It will have withdrawal syndrome. So then you do it slowly. So she left him, she came back, and now she's saying that I will see you once a year. And later on we will read that he actually goes to Swargaloka, heaven, meets her there, and finally he will give her up and he will come to understanding that this is all useless. Because you can never be satisfied with it. It is not possible, because as a living being, we are a conscious living being. How can anything material give you happiness? Where is the happiness? Happiness can only come from the source of happiness, and that is Krishna. So rasaiva sa rasam hi eva labdhva anandi bhavati. So rasam hi eva labdhva. Eva means not with anything else. Anya yoga vyaviched, that is the meaning of eva here. Means only by getting this rasa, not anything else. Not women, not men, not boyfriend, not girlfriend. Rasam hi eva labdhva anandi bhavati. Only after attaining that you becomes really full of ananda. So anandi bhavati is interesting because it says abhut tad bhava. Sri pratyaya is applied on abhut tad bhava, means you do not have it to begin with. So this idea that it is dormant and this, it's denied by anandi bhavati. So in Sanskrit the Chui pratyaya is applied for something which is not, and then it becomes. That is called abhuta tadbhav, which was not before, abhuta, and then attains that bhava, then you apply Chui. So niranandam anandam karoti, niranandam anandam bhavati, iti anandi bhavati. So anandi bhavati means that he was not having this before. He got it later on. So therefore Ananda can come only from who is Satchidananda, Krishna, not from anywhere else. And that is what we are looking for. Even when we are attracted to another male body, female body, we are actually looking for that Ananda. Only thing is that we are having viparyaya gyan. Right? This is called viparyas or viparyaya. So we are misunderstanding. So tasmin tadbhav. That where something is not there and you think it is there, that is called viparyaya. Mistaking a rope for snake is viparyaya gyan. Rope is not snake. So Ananda is not in male body or female body, and that everybody knows that after some time you realize it is not there. Otherwise why people are fighting after some time? Sometimes they start fighting even before. Right? So why it happens? If sugar is sweet, it will be sweet today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, after 10 years also it will be sweet. Right? Not that after 10 years the sugar starts tasting you salty. So why is that you meet somebody whom you thought is the love of your life, and you are going to live happily with that person and you cannot live without? But then very soon the reality changes. No, it has not changed. Nothing has changed. It was your misconception, and misconception cannot continue eternally. Sometimes it may, for some fortunate people, but generally not. So therefore, but people don't wake up to this. Then they think, well, there was something wrong with this person. Now I'll try with another person. And then you try another person, then you think there was something wrong with this person, and try with another. No, it will never work, but people don't use the buddhi. Either they don't have it or they don't use it. Right?
Blinded that.
Yeah, they have it, but they use it wrongly because they're too much overpowered by the kama. That's why Krishna says kama, krodha, krodhat sammoha. So people are working in sammoha state. That is the viparyaya, same thing. Sammoha means mohu vachitya. You're not seeing things as they are. Vachitya means that out of proper understanding. Your chitta is not where it should be. Your chitta is not understanding. It's bewildered. So therefore she realized that this fellow is too much in moha. So instead of giving up completely, then he will become more in moha. And people go up to the extent of committing suicide. Now in this lockdown state, some people are committing suicide. I just read a story, one boy, he was playing a game, because what can they do, staying inside, and he lost the game, so he broke the screen of the computer. And then the parents were very angry, why did you do that? He says, oh, I lost and I cannot tolerate it. So he says, okay, we don't buy you another one. So he begged them this, that, this, made him work, clean this. And they bought another one. He played and he lost again. And then he knew that now he cannot get it, so he committed suicide. 12-year-old boy. So this is the moha. Smriti bhransat buddhi nasha. Buddhi nashat pranasyati. So you can become so much bewildered by your attachments. So this playing games is also a big attachment these days. This is the video addiction now. There are so many studies and research being done on this. It says this is exactly like substance addiction, or even worse than that. Because at least substance you can take only up to a certain extent. Here there's no limit to go on playing, And substance you have to get, and it's not cheap. So antarvartanim uplakshya devim saprayau puram punastatra gato abdante urvashim veeramataram. So he saw that Urvashi was pregnant. Antarvartani means pregnant. So he noticed that, and then he went to his city, and he met her again after 1 year, Abdante, because they have made a deal that we will meet once a year. So by that time she has already given birth to a boy. So this is called Veeramataram, a son of a hero. So uplabhya muda yukta samuvasataya nisham athainam urvashi praha kripnam virhaturam. So after meeting her there, then he was very happy and he spent the night with her. So now she gives her a plan. Actually, Urvashi is being more composed and intelligent than him because she is more experienced in this game. She has had so many men. She's not the only one. So she must study that these men are foolish like this. So Athainam Urvashi Praha Kripanam Virha Aturam. So she spoke to this Kripana. Means this, what would you translate Kripana as?
It's actually miser.
Well, miser is not the word here. It's like
Pitiable person.
pitiable fellow. What did you say, Tanmay?
Pitiable person.
Yes, very pitiable. Because these desires make you like that. When you know that you have to fulfill your wish from somebody, then you become Kripana. Kripana also means like humble, lowly. So you behave like that. That's why I think it is Shaunaka Rishi who says in the beginning, second canto, that are there not, or is it Sukadeva, are there not rivers which give water, the trees which give fruits? He says, why people go and Katham Durmadhan Bhajanti, why they go and worship this rich, crazy people who are blinded by their power. So Tarva Kimna, no, that is a different one. Katham Durmadhan Dhan. So the meaning is that why we have to become as pitiable or show our situation like this in front of people like this, and not have faith in Krishna. So he is a Chakravarti Samrat. He is not an ordinary person. He was ruling all over the planet. He had many kings coming and touching their helmet to his feet. And now in front of a woman, he's just like a little mouse begging. So therefore she is saying Kripanam Virha Aturam, who was distressed, already thinking of separation from her. So she gave him a plan. What is the plan? So Gandharvan Upadhavema Stubhyam Dashyati Mamiti Tasya Sanstuvata Stushta Agnisthalim Dadur Nirpa Urvashi Manyamanastam Saubudhyata Charanvane. So she said that Gandharvan Upadhava Imang Tubhyam Dashyati Mam. He says that you worship the Gandharvas. And then Gandharvas will give me to you. Because he says I am under their control. So in the Tantras there is a process if you want to have Urvashi. Tantras actually give a process. There are many processes. One of them is Karna Peshachni, can get Urvashi, can get other powers. So she is saying that you worship the Gandharvas and then they will give you me. And he did that. So things are described in a very short way. So Tasya Sanstuvan Stushta. So he prayed to them, he did actually some yagyas, etc. Here it is like 2 words, but he actually did it for 2-3 years. And then he was successful. So Tushta Agni Sthalim Dadur Nripa. So what they gave? They gave him a Agni Sthali. They gave him a pot of fire. And he was so much meditating on Urvashi, thinking that Gandharvas are going to give me Urvashi, he thought that this is Urvashi. Can believe this? Viparya, the limit of Viparya. The limit of bewilderment, that they actually gave him a hot pot. Not hot spot, but hot pot, Agni Sthali. And what he thought that Urvashi Manya Manas Tam Swabuddhita Charanmane. He thought that this is Urvashi. And holding that, he is wandering in the forest, thinking, I got Urvashi. So this is the foolishness of human being, that they are running after some hot spot, thinking that they have got what they want to get. But it's not true.
Babaji,
Hanji,
Agni Thali, can it not be someone produced from fire? Someone who's come out of fire?
अरे भैया अग्नि स्थाली लिखा है. The word is Agni Sthali. Agni and Sthali. Sthali, you know, thali, from which you eat. So that's what he got. There's nothing that something born from it. And it is written here, Urvashi Manya Manas Tam. Tam is used for sthali. Sthali is a feminine gender, Tam is used for that. So he thought that this thali is Urvashi. Maybe it had a nice shape, who knows? Some artistic thing. So he thought this is Urvashi. Must be a big thing.
Like a mannequin, maybe. Like a mannequin.
Maybe. Mannequin or womaniquin, I don't know. So, but later on when he came to little bit senses, he realized that there is no Urvashi here. So then he left the pot, Sthalim Nyasya Vane Gatva Grihan Adhyayato Nishi. So he kept the pot in the forest, and therefore it is pot only and not something
It
else.
must have been hot because it's Agni.
Yeah,
And he was not feeling.
maybe he felt, therefore he dropped it.
Okay.
First he thought that it's life, body also has some heat. After some time it started burning his hands. It was too hot. So it was not a hot baby, it was a hot pot. So he dropped it. Nyasya Vane Gatva Grihan Adhyayato Nishi. And then he came home, but he was completely meditating on her at night, because the mind was just fixed on her. So now this is the interesting twist here. The twist is that Tretayam Sampravrittayam Mansi Treya Vartata. He says that it is Pururava who actually started this yajna at the beginning of Treta. So by that time it was the beginning of Treta, and Satyuga came to an end. And Treta, people performed yajna. So Tretayam Yaja Yajna. So in Krite Dhyayato Vishnu, in Satyuga people were meditating, and in Treta they did yajna. So he says, the sthali sthanam gato aswatham shami garbham vilakshasha tena dve arani kritva urvashi loka kamyaya. So then he came back to the forest, how it started is, and then he saw that the fire sthanam gato aswatham shami garbham vilakshasha. Then he saw that a Ashwatha tree has come out within the Shami tree. And this is what is used for generating fire. You make the arni, you take two woods from this and you put one down, one up, and there is a churning done to generate fire. There was no matchboxes, this is how the fire was generated. So here we have the commentary. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Tasya tasmin gandharvan stuvati sati tushta gandharva anena agnina karma kritva tadvashad urvashim prapsasi iti abhiprayena agnisthalim dadu. So when he has prayed to the Gandharvas, they gave him the Agnisthali. It is like the Yagyavedi, you make that altar where you generate fire. But it was a ready-made thing, not with the bricks. And their intention was that you should do Yagya in this with the desire to obtain Urvashi, and that's how you will obtain Urvashi. Not that they gave him Urvashi, but they gave him the process how to achieve her. That was their intention. But he did not understand, because when you are too much fixed on something and you listen to someone, you are not listening. Or even if you listen, you misunderstand it, you interpret it according to your own understanding. So he was too much focused on Urvashi, therefore he did not, probably they told him that you take this thali and you do yagya and then you will get Urvashi. So he did not pay to that, attention to that. He just thought that this is Urvashi, but later on he realized that it is not Urvashi, she is not speaking. She is only hot, that's all. So then he dropped that and he went back. Elsewhere it is described that when he did that, Urvashi was also there and Urvashi gave him the boy. And the Gandharvas gave him the thali, this pot. So he could not carry both of them. So he left the pot and carried the boy to the palace while thinking of Urvashi, as it is said, Dhyayato Nishi. And then he came back after making arrangement for the boy, because he has to be fed and taken care. That okay, now let me get the Agnisthali. So now by that time when he came there, the fire was put off. There was no more fire. Fire is not going to continue burning. Whatever was in this wood, etc., that got burnt and the fire was extinguished. But then from that fire these two trees came, Ashwatha and Shami. So fire is also in Sanskrit, one of the word for fire is Shami Garbha, or that which is born from the womb of Shami. So it was a tradition that they would take wood from the Shami and Aswatha, and then that was utilized for generating fire. How it is generated, you can Google it. They still do it in South India. I have seen this churning thing. So then he saw this and then he did that. So that means they must have explained it to him, or he somehow understood, it's not known. So Shami Garbham Vilakshasa Tena Dve Arani kritva urvashi loka kamya. So he made these two arnis made from the wood to produce fire for the yajna. So this is what he is describing, that he got this Sato urvashya matya aveshat kamandhas tam sthalimeva urvashim manyamana. But he was so much blinded by the desire to have urvashi that he thought this thali itself as urvashi. Taya sahito vane vicharan, and he was wandering with it in the forest. Sanga samaye nayam urvashi kintu agnisthali iti abudhyata. But later on, when it thought of sleeping with her, then he understood that it is not urvashi. It is only pot. So then he left and he went. So nishi ashamyak tam urvashim eva dhyayatas. So at night he was only thinking of urvashi, because he could not think of anything else. He was so much absorbed, so much attached to her. And attachment becomes manifest in separation. If you are attached to somebody and you live with that person, then you are not thinking of that person so much. But if you have to be separated from that person, then your mind becomes completely absorbed. So how much you are attached to somebody, that you realize only when you are separated from that person. When you are living, maybe you are quarreling and fighting and all that is going on. But when you get separated, then, so sometimes you see that people fight and they get angry, but after that they separate and then they are thinking, oh my God, why did I do this? Then they start missing. So that is when the attachment becomes manifest. Otherwise it remains inside dormant. So when it is dormant, then you treat the person as dormant. So you understand the value only in separation. So this is what says that he was meditating, asamyak tam urvashim eva dhyayata, tasya tretarambhe traya vartata. So then at the beginning of Treta, he propagated the Trayi, means this yajna described in the Vedas. So he is the propagator of that. That's why Pururabhasa is found in Vedas. Karma bodhakam vedatrayam pradurabhut. So at that time the Vedas, which propagate karma, means activities related to karma, they became manifest to him. So then he understood and he acted on them. So he is like the guru for the Karma Kanda. And what he gets is Urvashi. Because this is what human mind is. As I said, that you can think of Pururava as human mind, and what human mind is looking for is Urvashi. So kamina eva karma karyam iti abhivanjitam. So then he understood that you perform action to attain some material benefit. That's what he understood. So tatah cha sthali yatra nyasta tatasthanam gatah san samya garbhe jatam ashwatham vilakshya tenaiva ashwathena dveranim kritva agnim mamantha iti shesha. So Shami Garbhad Agnim Manthati iti Shrute. So then he returned back to the forest where he has kept that pot, and then he saw that an Ashwatha tree has come out from the Shami tree. Like previously here they had a tree and now I think it dried, which they used to call as Krishna Balaram tree. So then now it dried.
It's there.
Hmm?
It's there still.
No.
The people is not there anymore. But previously there was a people tree inside. Aswatha tree was there. And Aswatha is whitish in color, and this tree which is still there, that's Shami tree, this is blackish in color. That's why they used to call it as Krishna Balaram tree. So now it's one is dead. The one which came out from the other one is no more there. It was there for a long time. Actually it became quite big. But then one day I went and I saw it is dried up. So he took the wood from the Ashwatha and he made Arni and then he churned with that. So that's why fire is called Shami Garbha. So this is a statement from the Shruti, Shami Garbhad Agnim Manthati, that he is churning fire from the womb of Shami. So how did he churn it? That is being described here. And he is going to do this Urvashi Loka Kamya. To go, not that he wants Urvashi to come here, but now he decided he should go to Urvashi Loka, where she is. Because if he gets her here, then she can leave and go back again. Right? So better go there. Then there is no more leaving. Where will she live? So instead of inviting her to your house, you go to her house. So that was a smart decision. So the next verse describes how he did it. Saurvashim mantrato dhyayan adhararnim uttaram atmanam ubhyor madhye yata tat prajanam prabhu. So he meditated that the lower wood is Urvashi and above wood is he himself, and in between is the product. So there is also a statement like this, that I think the disciple is the lower Arani and Guru is the upper Arani and knowledge is the product. There is a statement like this also. I think it also comes in 11th canto somewhere. And also in the Vedas. So he says, Mathana Prakara Maha, this is the way he churned, Adhararnim Urvashim Dhyayan, Uttararnim cha Atmanam Dhyayan, Ubhyor Madhye Yat Kashtham Tat Prajnam Putram Dhyayan. So he imagined the lower wood to be Urvashi and the top wood to be himself, and the wood in between, that is the Prajani or son born, and tathacha mantra urvashyam urasi pururabhaiti. And it seems there is a mantra like that urvashyam urasi pururabha. So this must be in the Samhitas or Brahmanas somewhere. Tasya nirmathana jato jata veda vibhavashuhu Trayasa vidya rajya putratve kalpita strivrit. So then what happened when he churned this? Then the fire was generated from that, which was called as Jata Veda. So this is the name of the fire which came out of it. So tasya nirmathna jato Jata Veda Vibhavasho. because it was born from by churning. Born means jata, therefore it was called Jata Veda. And Vibhavasva is the name of the fire in general. So Traya sa vidya ragya putratve kalpita strivirt. So this, he divided this fire in two. So in the olden days, when people they perform these yagyas, they used to have this fire, this Garpatya Agni, Avani Agni and Dakshinagni. So these are the three fires which are required to do the yagya. They have their special names. And when Brahmachari used to live in the Gurukula, then when he will get married, so on the fourth day, the Agni is established in the house. And then that Agni has to remain for the rest of his life. And then when the person dies, then that Agni is taken to burn the dead body. And then all his pots, his shruk and shruva with which he was doing the yagya, they are all put on with the body and they are burnt. So therefore this Agni remains all the time with them. So these are the three divisions and they have different functions for that. So he divided this and then he accepted this fire like his son. Because remember, he was churning it and imagining the lower as Urvashi and top as he himself and the product as the child. So what was born was fire. So then it became his son, this fire, which he then made three divisions of it through the process of Traividya, or the Vidya of three Vedas. And then with this he now did the yagya to worship, to fulfill his desire. So tena ayajata yagyesham bhagvantam adhokshajam urvashi lokam anvichan sarvadeva mayam harim. So what did he do? He worshipped the master of yagya, Yagyesham. Who is that? He is Bhagavan Adhokshaja, who is called here as Hari, and he is Sarvadevamaya. So all the devas are within him. So this is what he worshipped, and he worshipped with the sankalpa of attaining Urvashi Loka. So when you do the yagya, you have to make the sankalpa, means your wish. You have to declare what is the intention, your purpose, what is that you are trying to achieve through this. So therefore he made the sankalpa that from this yagya may I reach Urvashi Loka. So this is what materialistic people do, that if they worship Bhagavan, then from Bhagavan also they want something for their own enjoyment only. They are not interested that they should devote themselves to Bhagavan. But they see Bhagavan as somebody who is there to fulfill their desires. So that is what people generally think. They think that dharma and this religious activities, they are meant only for their satisfaction. So Sahayagya Praja Srashtva Purovacha Prajapati Anena Prashvadhvames Vastu Ishta Kamadhuk. So this yagya will be Kamadhuk, it will satisfy your desires, your wishes. So this is what he is doing. तस्य तत्कर्तृक निर्मंथनात् विभावशुर अग्नि जातः. So by churning that wood, then the fire was born. Jatam Vedo Dhanam Bhogyam Yasmat Satraya Vidya Sanskito. So it is called Jata Veda. So Veda here means wealth or that which is enjoyable. So this fire will be giving him the objects of his enjoyment. So this is the Kamadhuk. Sacha Traya Vidya Sanskrito Ragya Putratve Kalpita Punya Loka Prapkatvat Trivit Aviniyadi Rupa. So then he assumed this to be his child, and then he made these three divisions, and then from that Agni he did the yagya for worshipping. एकेव पुरावेदः प्रणव सर्ववाङ्मय देवो नारायणो नान्य एकोऽग्निर्वर्ण एव च पुरुरवश एवासीत् त्रयित्रयतामुखे नृप अग्निना प्रजया राजा लोकम गांधर्वमेवान्. So in the beginning Veda was only one, ekeva pura Veda, and Pranava Sarva Vangmaya, and the Pranava was the complete Veda, or this was the seed of the Veda. And Devo Narayano Nanya, there was only one Deva, he is Narayana. And Eko Agnir Varne, which fire was also only one, and Varna was also only one. There was no Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra divisions. There was only one Varna. So everything was just one in Satyuga. One Veda, one fire, one Varna, one Deva, and one process of meditation. That's what everybody did. So people were not into too many things. Things were simple. Only one book, right? One God. People say in Hinduism they have too many things, too many books, too many. And one is also there. It was one, but because it is very old, then it went on growing. But originally there is one Veda only. There is nothing else. So it is Pururava who divided one into three. One fire became three fire. One Veda became three. Pururava se vasit trayi treta mukhe. That's why it is called Treta Yuga. The Yuga of three. So Agnina Prajya Raja Lokam Gandharvam Evan. So he is the one who did the yagya, etc. And he attained the planet or the place of Gandharva Loka. Nanu Vedatraya Bodhita Karma Marga Prang Nashit. So he says, well, in the beginning this Karma Marg, which is dependent on the three divisions of Veda, this was not there. He says, yes, that's true, it was not manifest. Not that it was not there, because Veda is eternal, but now it became manifest. Ekeveti dvabhyam. Pura krita yuge sarvangmayam sarvasham vacham bijbhuta pranay eva ekeveva vedaha. In Krita Yuga, in Satya Yuga, the Veda was only one, and that was also in the form of pranava only. So there was no too much complication. Devascha Narayana Ekeva, the Deva was also only one Narayana. Agnischa Ekeva, Lokika, there was only one fire, and that was Lokika fire. There was no Vedic fire. This Avaniya, Garpatya, Dakshinagni, this is Vedic fire. There was only Lokik fire. You want to heat some water or something, that's all. Means this was not being used for doing some yajna. It was only for some Lokik purpose. Your, what you will call, ephemeral activities. Not something spiritual. Varnaschayako Hanso Nam Yatah Krita Yuge Sattva Pradhana. And Varna was also only one. That Varna was called Hansa. So there was no Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Shudras, etc. Only everybody was a swan. Hansa means swan. Right? Later on the Hansa became Lufthansa. Started floating in the air. So Sattva Pradhana, they were Sattva Pradhana, they are primarily Sattva. Sarve api dhyan nishtha, and everybody was just meditating. They have nothing else to do. They will just meditate. They will not eat too much. Little bit air, water, maybe some fruit if somebody. Nobody made houses. Nobody was making dresses. There was no industry. People just lived. They were able to tolerate heat, cold, and they were to walk around anywhere. It was not that this is my place, this is my house. All this thing was not there. Just like the animals live now, human beings lived like that. Right? Science also says like this, that they came from apes and they lived in the forest. And the thing is that they don't know that these people were much more knowledgeable, advanced. But some truth is there. This is how people lived. There were no cities, there were no villages, no farming. Everything was just natural. Nature was giving, and they didn't have much needs anyway. And there was no complications. So then came Treta. Treta Mukhe, Treta Arambhe, at the beginning of Treta, Pururavasa Sakasha Deva Karma Marg Pradharma. So he is the founder of Karma Marga, Karma Mimamsa. So what is that Krishna says? That the Imam Rajarshayo Viduhu, that this is how the Rajarshis knew it. Sayo Kalena Yogo Nastam Parantapa. Now it is lost. So he started it. एवं स्वयंभुव मन्वंतरादौ अपि बहु चतुर्युग व्यापक राजत्ववद्भ्य प्रियव्रतादिभ्य एव तत्र तत्र त्रेतारंभे कर्म प्रादुर्भावैति अपि गेयम्. So he says in the same way you could understand that in Swambhu Manvantara also, because there are many Chaturyugas, it is not just one Chaturyuga, it goes on. So in Swambhu Manu, it is Priyavrata, etc., who had started it. So Priyavrata story we already read. So in different yugas, the karma marg is propagated by different kings. This is the end of chapter 14. Iti sarartha darshinyam harshinyam bhakta chetasam chaturdashoyam navmi sangata sangata satam. So tomorrow we'll start chapter 15. Yes.
So you just mentioned that nobody lived in houses, that's what I understood?
Yeah.
About Satya Yuga. But earlier I think it was described that Pururava and Urvashi were together in a house, and then the Gandharvas came and stole the lambs, and then he went outside.
This is the end of, so this is the Sandhi period.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah. It's already starting. But beginning of Satyuga was like that for a long time. Things will change with time.
Gradually.
Yeah.
And then I understood that the Veda and the fire was divided into three. But I think earlier, or somehow I recall that the Veda are four. So the fourth then came later?
Yes. Well, when you do Karma Kanda, then this is generally called Trayi,
Yes.
Veda Trayi. Because remember we read that Atharva is used mainly for Abhichar Karma. Abhichar means doing some activities like killing enemy, creating enmity, things like that. So people were not doing that in the beginning. So Veda Trayi was used.
Okay, so Atharva Veda then became prominent later. Okay. And then last question. So here is described that Purudava then divided this one Veda into three?
Means it became manifest to him in three ways.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sense of it because I think in the first canto it is described that
Vyasadeva did it.
yes.
So this you have to understand one thing, that time is not just linear, but it goes in cycles. That's what confuses us many times. And it is not just one Satyuga or one Treta. This Vyasa is 28th Vyasa. So he is talking about one thing which happened. It's not the only time that Veda has been divided. That is divided by him. So many times it has been divided, then like now it is lost, and gradually whatever is there, maybe it will also be lost. Even what is there is practically lost because hardly anyone really understands and how to use it. So then again Satyuga will come, then it will be just one thing. Then again somebody will divide. And even if it is divided, it may not have been divided the way Vyasa divided it. They probably just understood that there are three activities to be done from this. There is a chanting of some mantras, there are ahutis to be given, and then there is process how it is to be done. But they may be all still jumbled up. It may be one having three divisions within itself because of these three activities. Later on Vyasa separated them. That is the meaning of Vyasa. The very word Vyasa means that. So that way also I can understand.
Okay. And it seems to be, an implication of the story of Purudava and Urvashi, that I find it interesting that he founded the tradition to do yagya, and for what? To get Urvashi. So is it somehow the Bhagavatam here trying to make us aware that all these karma kanda activities are satisfaction of the mind, which...
Yeah, because later on you will see that Ela himself would not be satisfied with it. It will come, and that Ela Gita is there in 11th canto.
Yes.
So that means he was also not satisfied with it.
Okay.
So Katha imanste kathita mahiyasam vitaya lokesu yaso parovisham Vigyan vairagya vivakshaya vibho vacho vibhutirna tu paramarthyam. Sukadeva Goswami says this in 12th canto finally. He says all these stories which I have told you, this is only to instill vairagya and vigyan, the knowledge. Otherwise don't go into all this. He says this is vacho vibhuti. So Yattuttam sloka gunanuvad sangiyate bhikshnasa. But that which is uttam sloka gunanuvad, that is the reality. So that's what we have to understand, that these stories, their purpose is to see that even such great kings, how it is described that he is ruling all over the earth, he is the most beautiful person, that even Urvashi was attracted by hearing his qualities. Then he gets Urvashi, which is the best of the Apsaras, and he is not satisfied. Now we do not have any of these qualities, and even we are thinking that we are going to be happy. He had all the paraphernalia and abilities to enjoy long life, abilities, knows the Vedas also. So still, what did he gain? Vairagya. So better to have that now without going through all the story. Can save your time. Yes, can pass the mic.
It's a subsidiary question. It says here that in Satya Yuga they were meditating and Om was the mantra. Do they have any prema or bhakti soul?
No.
So in Satya Yuga they didn't have the facilities that we have in a way.
Yes. Okay, yes.
Maharaj, what was the big mistake of Pururava Maharaj that it looks like there's something arrangement to he has to suffer?
Big mistake means what?
Means how he is going to more and more suffer, means he is not understanding the situation.
A big mistake is that he is running after material pleasure. So yahi sanspas jab hoga dukhyoni evate. Krishna says that any pleasure which you get by sense contact, it will lead you to suffering. That's the principle. So he is trying that. So then he is suffering. Okay.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Yeah, Babaji, I'm just wondering about Urvashi's behavior. I mean, she knows that she's the cause of the king's suffering. But how is it possible that she's also trying to give him the solution? Because you can't be the poison and the remedy at the same time. So I'm just wondering why she accepts meeting with him every year, and why she's not, let's say, being quite harsh just once to having, to beat him once, so that maybe someone else can intervene and explain to him that that's not the purpose of life, and so that he wouldn't have hanged with her for so long before realizing really what's the true purpose of human life.
So first of all, she is not the cause of his suffering. Therefore, she is not the poison. The cause of his suffering is his own mind, his own desire. That is the poison. Poison he is carrying in his head. She has nothing to do with it. If he is not attracted to her, how she will make him suffer and how she will be the poison? So that's where the problem is lying. And she is just trying to point it out to him. That's all she is doing. She is trying to help him. Why we have to assume that somebody else would come and explain this when I can explain it? So she is saying that. I already said that when there is too much attachment and then you try to ask that person to give it up, it doesn't work. The person will not listen to you. Now because she said that I will see you once a year, at least he is listening to her. And then she said, you please the Gandharvas, then you can have your desire fulfilled. He did it. If she would have just been harsh and gone away, he will be distraught. And what is the solution? He is not going to listen to someone else who comes and says, no, what do you know? How do you know what it means to be with Urvashi? He's not going to pay attention, he's a king. So he can listen to her because in front of her he is the Kripana. He's not going to be Kripana with someone else. There he will have the ego of being the Chakravarti, Samrat, the emperor of the earth, Loka. He is not going to listen to them, but he can listen to her because he is so much attached to her. So gradually she did it and it worked. Ultimately it worked.
So can it mean that to help someone to change one's mind, the best therapist is the one the person is the most attached to, because the person will follow everything the person will say or will recommend?
Yeah, if he is attached or he is respectful, then he will follow. Otherwise, why should he follow? Why should anyone follow anybody? If somebody comes and gives you advice, will you take just like that unless you have some respect for that person or you are attached to that person? You have some interest. Then you listen.
But Babaji, won't this be like a fallacy that in Hindi we have "tumine dard diya, tumi dawa dena"? So why first giving dard?
अरे भैया दर्द उसने नहीं दिया यार, वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, तुम सुनते क्या नहीं? उसने कहाँ दर्द दिया है? तुम एक गाना सीख लिया बस चले आए. दर्द वो दे रही है कि वो खुद दे रहा है अपने आप को? I just said that she is not giving trouble to him. This is what men think. So what? He could have rejected her. Even if she came to him, he could have said, no, I don't want. वो क्या तुम्हारे सिर पर बैठेगी क्या जंप करेगी? अरे समस्या, प्रॉब्लम इज इन योर ओन हेड एंड देन यू ब्लेम इट, तुमने दर्द दिया. There is a famous song, तुमने दर्द दिया तुम्हें दवा देना. I don't know that line, but means you have given me pain, so now you have to give me the medicine also. So I'm saying she is not giving the pain, she is not the cause of the pain, Yet she is trying to give the solution. Okay? All right.